Gentlemen. All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Finance Committee meeting on 5/10 at 6:30 prior to our town meeting. On the list of topics to be discussed is the acceptance of minutes, budget articles, including the stuff that we need to make changes on the annual and special town meeting warrants for tonight. Discussion on wage personnel amendments, reserve fund transfers, correspondence, public station calendar as may arise. And there's also a listing on here that there might be a possible public session discussion on all union and personal contracts, including the fire chief, police chief, firefighter sergeants, patrol officers, highway mixed unit. A possible discussion on the vote of one line item transfer of $10,000 for architectural plans for the addition to the Museum of Halifax from the dispatch services to municipal and school building expenses. And then lastly, a possible executive session with Charlie Seelig, which will be a discussion on all union and personal contracts, fire chief, police chief, firefighter sergeants, police patrol officers, highway mixed units negotiations as discussing strategy with respect to collective bargaining in an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on bargaining positions. So we'll start off. Has everybody had a chance to review the meeting minutes from last week?
Yes.
And 426.
426, yeah.
Both of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right, 426. Yeah, yes. Would somebody like to make a motion to recommend for approval of the meeting minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Okay. Since we're all here, we could just put A or nay, yes or no. All those in favor? And all those opposed? Okay. Let's hear that. What? Yep. Next on the list is the budget articles, including the annual special town meeting warrants for May 10th. So, Sandy, take it away.
So if you look at the pink sheet that I gave you, that is editorial changes that need to happen for the town meeting. You guys need to vote on whether you're going to move the I think it's $4,770 from fire wages to fire clerical. It's a wash. I put it on the sheet because you guys sounded like you were amenable to it.
It doesn't increase any...
It doesn't increase the bottom line, and that's what I did state, it, as a wash, and it's not going to increase anything.
Correct. So, would somebody like to, we'll handle the fire clerical and wage fire, because again, that's a wash first. So would somebody like to make a motion to change in Article 4, line 52, fire clerical to the amount of $43,366, and line 53, instead Article 4, fire wages, to $1,040,560.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those are in favor? Anybody opposed? Nope. So that passes. Next on the list.
So the next one is highway wages. We found out last week that we do have a member of the highway department who is retired. When someone retires, we are obligated to pay them any unused vacation time, any earned vacation time, and this employee has 5 weeks vacation. So Steve has a sheet that he prepared as well to show you. At first it was a question as to whether we were going to replace the mechanic with another mechanic or just a laborer. He did want to go with the mechanic. We were looking at, well, what happens if you bring him in at a lower step? The problem being we don't know what we're going to be able to hire a mechanic for, whether our wage rate is sufficient. So rather than lowering it, I just put in the extra amount we needed for the vacation payoff. And I'm asking for you to vote on changing the highway wages to the new amount.
Okay. So would somebody like to make a recommendation to approve the change in Article 4, line 76, highway wages to the recommended amount of $328,391?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Anybody opposed? No. So
that gap is 6687.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an, yeah.
Yeah.
What's next? Do we have anything else with regards to changes in Article 4?
I did not see any other editorial changes we need to make in Article 4. We're basically moving it as printed in the warrant except for those 2 changes.
Okay. Now, the next on the list is discussion of wage and personnel amendment. I know we skipped over,
Can we- yeah.
we skipped over Article 2,
Can we-
Section
yeah,
9, so we need to talk to Charlie about that one.
Before
So,
we go there, can
Yeah.
we go to the green sheet?
green sheet,
All
sure.
right, so,
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is Article 4 too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
so if the special town meeting, and the special town meeting usually comes before the budget vote. So usually after Article 2, we're moving on to the special town meeting. If Article 1 passes, it changes the amount we need in the police wages. So I've given you the new amount, and the difference is $8,793. That is for the FY '21 change. So it's a 1.6% increase for FY '21. That's right, but this amount is for FY '22. But the increase they're getting is for FY '21, but it changes their '22
Gotcha.
needs,
Start.
okay? And then
It's a contingent vote then?
the vote during the special town meeting will be contingent. And then if that passes, then we have to update this, all right? Same thing for Article 3. So Article 3 in the special town meeting is for the mixed unit. We happen to have town building, highway, and water all in this mixed unit. So if that passes, we need to increase all those 4 different lines. So if they get the 1.6 for FY '21, there's a separate article that deals with the money for that, but then it changes our
changes it.
FY '22 rates,
Got it.
Right.
wages.
And so those are just the regular employees, not like the department heads, like not
These
Steve,
are,
not Scott.
no, these are
Okay.
just, yeah.
Okay.
So for town building, it's just the two full-time and 1 part-time. For highway, it's just the highway clerical. For water, it's the 3 laborers and water clerical.
What's our difference?
Water will
It's
be
like,
paying their difference.
There's
40 is like 67, 41, 77's plus.
So
a
water, we
minus.
don't really have to worry about because that's self-funded, right? So that's a-
Right, but when I sent you out the, sure, when I sent you out the FinCom budget status,
Yep.
I had taken into account all those increases. I listed them on the top, so that we could figure out about where you're gonna end up being for the,
Yep.
within the levy limit. So we have, highway is increasing by 6,687, police. No, is that right? Yeah.
No,
No,
61,
that's the
72.
sergeants, yeah. No. I have it all written in here what we needed, but I just put in the total amount, so I don't have it separate. But it is a total of $22,634.
Is that everybody, including water?
Yes,
Yep.
yeah. But it doesn't affect our bottom line as much because water pays.
Right, I'm just trying to figure out what that.
The water wages plus or minus 14.4.
Yeah.
And then the highway was 61.72.
Mhm.
700 plus or minus for highway clerical and plus 721 for clerical water.
Alright, so
Just the 1.6?
Which one?
Is that just the 1.6? Is that how you
Yep,
got that?
that's
Yeah.
it, that's it. Mhm.
we're talking like, if you take out water, what, 13?
Yeah, you take out water, it's
Okay.
like 6, no, it's,
So,
take out water, it's only 68, 68,
so how's this gonna
75.
work? If Article 4 is voted first, before this, the special's at 8 o'clock.
If Article 4 gets voted first, which it never does because of the wage and personnel article, but if it did, then we would have to go back to reconsider,
Okay.
because we wouldn't do it unless those other articles pass.
Alright, so do you wanna make the motion to reconsider now, or do you wanna wait and see what happens with Article 1? It's up there, the board. We can sit around at our table and say, hey, do you wanna do this and we do a quick vote? Then, or we can do it now and say, this is based
If it
on. this
passes,
is-
we
If it passes, yeah.
we
Do
go.
a contingent now?
Mhm.
Alright, so you wanna do a contingent now?
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Alright, so, let's tackle the first one. If Article 1 of the special town meeting on May 10, 2021 passes, so based on that contingency, on Article 4, line 45, police wages, we will make a change so that that is recommended to be at $1,215,013. It's a difference of $8,793. Somebody like to make a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, so if that happens, we're all set, we don't need to do another vote. Okay, again, if Article 3 of the special town meeting on May 10th, 2021 passes, so based on that contingency, we will make the following changes. On line 40, town building custodial, the recommended value will be $216,360. Line 77, highway clerical, will become $43,603. Line 93, water wages, will become $219,461. Line 94, water clerical, will be in the amount of $47,080. Somebody would like to make a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All those opposed? That passes. Okay, so that is with Article 4.
Yes, but I would like to just bring up another thing. So, when we're figuring out how much money we're going to have above or below the, above the levy limit, or below the levy limit, and with the $300,000 that you wanted to save, one of the things that we consider is the overlay money that we have to put aside. You've probably seen it on that synopsis sheet. I had in $225,000 in overlay because that's what we used last year. There has been legislation that's gone through on the solar fields, the solar farms, that looks as if we're going to be able to get tax those. We're not going to. We've had sort of a hold because we thought we were going to have to give money back on abate a solar field. That's why we went so high last year. This year we believe that we can go down to $160,000. That's going to help our bottom line, so that we're not taking as much out of that $300,000.
So with that $65,000, we were $120,000 in, so that basically cuts that in half.
Yeah.
All right, so.
Because an abatement small.
It will probably, they won't
This
be
is-
abated.
It won't be abated at all.
Right.
This is probably in relationship to the Halifax solar versus
Yeah.
Halifax lawsuit where they said that they didn't have to pay property tax, and
Right.
fortunately, the legislation has just recently passed stuff clarifying that, so we should start seeing.
So on my latest spreadsheet, if we were trying to keep the $300,000 on the table, at this time, if Silver Lake is voted at what they're asking for, and if the SRO is voted, the resource officer, we're going to be into that $300,000 by $87,000. Now,
So they could cut it down by $36,000 by not voting for the resource officer.
Right.
So we would be basically $51,000 in.
right. Now, the other idea is, and I spoke to you the other day about it, hoping to get a wage increase out of it, but we didn't. We do fund $75,000 from raise and appropriate for the reserve fund transfer. Again, that is something that you could do either raise and appropriate or undesignated fund balance. Back in 2014 and before that, I believe we were using undesignated fund balance, which is our free cash, which is what we take our capital articles out of. And, or you can do raise and appropriate. It would just bring you closer, it would bring you to within about 12,000.
12, 14,
Yeah,
12,000,
which would be helpful. It would keep that, that $300,000 that you're trying to do. One of the comments that Gordon made in our meeting when I suggested it was that once you start taking it out of free cash, it's harder to get it back into raise and appropriate. So that is one of your considerations. And then one other thing that I'll mention, I was told by Sue Lawless today, the Director of the Council on Aging, that she is going to pass over the Council on Aging van. She's not going to ask for it, and that's $73,000. She talked to the mechanic again today. She wanted him to give her a punch list, so when she comes to town meeting, she knows exactly what's wrong with the van, so she can let the people at town meeting know. He looked at it, he goes, oh, this isn't that bad, did I really tell you that? So, she is not comfortable at
He
this
needed his
point
quota
now.
this month.
He is not,
Right.
she is not comfortable at this point now asking for that van, because she always felt it could have been a this year or next year thing. She feels if it's gonna last another year or two, that she is not comfortable asking for it this year. So she is going to pass over that $73,000
So does
item.
that take away the, oh, that comes out of capital?
That comes out of the,
That's capital,
yeah,
yeah,
the free cash, so
yeah.
that's,
It doesn't make anything
No.
unless you were gonna add it to another article or something like
Right,
that.
Right.
right.
so the only thing it does do is it makes it a little, we have a little bit more money in out of the free cash available.
Which means at the end of the day, more will go into the stabilization fund.
I'm gonna run these flyers down now that you've voted to recommend them. I'm gonna go put them out on the table. But it's just something for you guys to think about. All right? I wanna make sure Dennis has copies of them.
All right, so,
Do you guys know Dennis? He's our moderator.
what?
Hi, be here for anything else, or did you want to ask?
I'll be
anything about
back.
the truck?
Well, I can ask, does anybody wanna ask Steve anything? I know you changed the number by $15,000.
Yes,
So that is on Article
34.
34. So the amount is gonna go down
From
from
85
to 71.
70,
Seven,
71.
what's it?
70, 71. I think I'm gonna go with the 71 because of the way the prices are
Yeah, let's just do
fluctuate, going all
71,000
over the place.
for a difference of 14,000, right? Let's go, you want 71, right?
Yes.
Okay. 71, okay. So, the next thing, so I think, unless anybody has any other questions for Steve, does anybody have any questions for Steve? So
Did we vote the reduction or no?
yes, we do.
Yeah.
So let's do that real quick. I'd like somebody to make a motion on the table for Article 40, no, not 40, 34, yeah. Well, we have to do 42. Because we're passing over it. So we'll deal with this, we'll deal with Article 34 first.
Sorry.
So, somebody like to make a motion for Article 34 to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the sum of $71,000 for a new F-550 diesel equivalent hook lift to a dump body, sander and plow for the highway department, or take any action relative thereto.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed? So that's good. Let's do Article 40 then.
Thank you and good luck.
Yes, thanks.
Article 40, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds of $73,000 to purchase and equip a new council on aging van or take any action relative thereto. There's a motion on the table to pass over this article. Do I have somebody wants to make that motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? All those in favor of passing over Article 40? Anybody opposed? Article 40 will be passed over then. Next on the list is as Sandy just indicated, we could remove out the reserve fund transfers from raise and appropriate rate to free cash. So does anybody want to make that motion at all? I mean, does anybody want to talk about it? Or comfortable leaving it as is? Okay.
Okay, so when you make the motion, because it is a finance committee article,
Yep.
okay? You're going to use the first motion, the top motion, which says, I move the town vote to raise and appropriate.
Yep.
What's Article?
Article
Article
30,
6.
right? 6?
Article 6, yep.
Article 6. Article 6. Article 6.
So,
Right, so you want
yeah,
raise
so Fred,
and
in your
appropriate. Yep,
binder
I got
has
it.
all the motions. Okay.
And we got to fill that up. Good. Article 6.
So at the top is the article, and then it says motion, and you put in both in case you wanted to.
And I'm just confused here because according to this, like, the motions don't line up. Up here, it's like, oh, it's 2, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
So
I was
there's
looking at
two.
75 and I was seeing the 50 down
Yeah.
there. Okay.
yep. Well, it's one motion. I move that
It's
the town
the
vote
top
to
one,
raise
so
and
we're gonna-
appropriate the sum of 75 to reserve fund.
Yeah. So
And
it's gonna be the
then
top
later
one.
on it goes in from water retained earnings, the sum of 50,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with the article itself is 125,000, the 50 of it is for water.
Water.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna change 40 real quick to motion to pass over. And we changed 34 to 71,000. Okay. What else is on our list?
I think you have to vote on Articles 11 and 12, which would be the chief's salary changes.
Okay, do we have that information?
They're in the binder.
Bring it in the binder. Woo-hoo.
And it was in an email from Charlie as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't have the amounts.
All right, so Article 11. Somebody like to make the motion to approve Article 11, which is to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds a sum of money to fund the provisions of the collective bargaining agreement for fiscal year 2020 between the police chief, Chief Chavez, and the town of Halifax in the sum of $10,000.
So moved.
Do we have a second? Okay, let's do a vote. All those in favor? And all those opposed? So that passes.
And 12.
And then 12 is, would somebody like to make a motion that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $5,500 to fund the provisions of the collective bargaining agreement for fiscal year 2020 between Fire Chief Jason Vivares and the town of Halifax?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, let's do a vote. All those in favor of funding the provisions? All those opposed? And that passes unanimously as well. Okay, next. How's that agenda list?
So, let's see, where are we on to next? If you want to vote on the fence proposal for, I'm not sure, do you know what the article number is, Sandy? Parks.
Out right now.
Parks
Lincoln,
fence.
that's the Lincoln, is that the Lincoln?
Lincoln
one?
Street, yep.
Yeah, let's see.
So originally it was at 15,000 was what they were requesting in the warrant, but he's gotten one quote for $5,897, and he's gotten a second quote for $7,215. So you could, they haven't specifically chosen the vendor yet, but you could do either one of those amounts, you could do something just slightly high enough to cover both of them.
Here's Lincoln Street. Oh, here, it's Article 49.
God, yeah.
Well,
So it was 15, Linda, and what's the low quote?
The low quote is $5,897.
Yeah.
Do you want to take a peek at it?
And the high quote?
And the high quote was $7,215.
So what do we want the number to be, guys?
I'd go with the higher side.
They did discuss, he did discuss, like, you could do, if you could do 7,500 to make sure that he's safe on the
Yeah,
higher side,
yeah.
and then,
Cut this in half then.
yeah, and then he could, he might not necessarily go with the higher one, but
Yeah.
at least that way he's covered if he does.
All right, would somebody like to make a motion that the town vote to transfer from undesignated fund balance the sum of $7,500 for repair and replacement of the fence at Lincoln Street Beach area?
So moved.
Do I have a
Second.
second? All those in favor of such? All those opposed? That passes unanimously. That is Article 49.
That one.
What else have we voted on?
Do we have anything on Article 50 for the
PA system.
system?
I do not have anything from Charlie yet on that. He said he sent some email, I believe, about the handicap ramp, but he didn't come back. I asked him today to get more information, and he said he'd have something, but
Price on it.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
same, it looked like the same numbers.
yeah, he was gonna discuss with us if he had, after he talked to the architect, but he said he hoped to be available tonight, but I haven't seen him yet for this.
That's 37, right?
So we're not doing anything on 50?
So on 30, yeah, nothing on 50.
So 50 we're passing over?
So 37, he gave me a price of $89,601
That's additional amount, right?
additional to add to the 35,000.
I'm sorry, what article number was it, Sandy?
That's Article
37.
37.
Thank you.
Actually, I think you guys have it, the motion in there, right?
Yeah.
That was one of the ones that was
Yeah.
replaced.
$89,601 to repair and replace the handicap ramp. Is that all? So-
On top of the 35. that
So,
was already-
before we make that motion, so what's our thoughts on this? So again, why are we doing this? This is an ADA issue,
Yes.
and it has to be done this year? I mean, the people are gonna ask, why wasn't this done in 2018 when it was voted on?
And that's, yeah, that question has come up.
Oh, all over Facebook for the last 4 days.
Yeah, so, and I don't really have a good answer. I
Yeah.
think that the figure of 35,000 was I think we can do it for 35,000.
Yeah, Jerry, as I recall, the head custodian at the
Yeah.
time just kind of was like,
And
we
then-
could probably do it for that
Right.
amount, yeah.
And then, when they started looking into it, and the building inspector said, that's really something you have to have engineered, or, you can't just do it. I think the thought was they were gonna replace the whole wooden ramp that was there. And he said, no, if you're doing it, you have to bring it up to ADA.
Do you know when that happened, Sandy? Like, if this was voted on in 2018, right, we're
Yeah.
talking 3 years ago.
Mhm.
When did they engage the engineer? Any idea?
I do not know. I know
Because
that he was having a
that's what they're
lot
gonna
of.
They're gonna ask the stuff.
They're gonna say,
No,
okay,
really,
Actually,
I have no
3
good excuse to tell them
No.
why this wasn't done 3 years ago.
This is not, all right, so this is not up to you guys to explain. This is going to be up to the Director of Building Maintenance to explain.
Oh, okay,
I know that he was
okay.
working on it on and off all the time. Charlie, do you want to talk to the ramp?
The ramp, we got 3 bids. Low bid was from Site Tech. I think I've sent, I think I have a handout on the table there.
Yeah, yeah, you did.
So we had appropriated 35,000 several years ago. We got the bids in on Monday. I talked to Scott Materna and the architect. Their recommendation was the low bid is a qualified firm, but to include alternate 1, which is the work that needs to be done in the porch area. So you have the ramp that leads up to the porch area. Then the porch area needs to be done also. There was an alternate 2 that would extend the porch area to that exit door. It's a very small door that almost looks like it's coming out of the selectman's office. It's coming out of a back stairwell that was part of the 1907 portion of the building. They're now recommending extending that. So the request at town meeting would be for funding for the low bid for the ramp plus the porch, where we include, what we've done is add up the architect fees, the construction, the contingency, and the construction, overseeing by the architect. That's the total minus the 35,000. I think it's about 89,000.
$601.
And
And I
here
was
when the prices
explaining
are
that-
now triple.
I was explaining to them that the explanation as to why it didn't happen before, that is going to be up to building.
Yeah, I think there's really
Maintenance
2
to the
reasons. I
site.
mean, one, I think everybody dropped the ball. Part of it is because we had the changeover in administration there for the building committee and for building maintenance. Part of it is the pandemic basically threw everybody's priorities up the window for at least a year. So we finally got our act together, finally got the plans done and all ready to go. And if the town meeting doesn't want to spend the money, at some point that thing's going to fall apart. And we'll have 2 problems. One, just the physical access to the building. We have people who can't get in the building without that ramp. And then 2, legally, that results in ADA compliance problems, and we'll have to do it immediately under emergency situation. Probably have to put a metal ramp in there while we then wait for construction of the new ramp. because we won't have an appropriation for that. That's not a good idea.
So it's 124 grand for everything, Charlie, for the alternate plus the ramp.
Yes. And yeah, it's, I mean, it would have been the cost of a new house a few years ago.
Where's it come from?
Pardon me?
Operating, there's no.
That's free cash.
This would be
Free
from
cash,
free,
right.
free cash, yes. Which I haven't figured all that in yet.
Anybody else have any questions before we vote on this? I mean, obviously, not a good job.
What's the subcontractor, what's his lock rate right now? Like,
I don't know, there's,
that he'll hold his price, how long will he hold his price?
I don't know, I'd have to ask Scott.
Because that's the fear right now, materials. are
Well, yeah,
continuing.
you look at, like, you go back to the tennis court, that you
Yeah,
guys were talking about, that quote is from November 2020.
Yeah, I mean, I probably could pull the bid specs, they're online right now, and the bid specs probably would have how good the price is for. But it's probably like 60 days or something like that.
Yeah, so it's, we just got it here the last couple of days,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
All right, no other question, would somebody like to make a motion that the town vote to transfer from undesignated fund balance the sum of $89,601 to repair and replace the handicap ramp at the town hall, said sum to be combined with the $35,000 appropriated for the same purpose in Article 5 of the special town meeting on August 20th, 2018.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All those opposed? That motion passes 5-0.
Can I just give you an update on two of the contracts? The Board of Selectmen decided to pass over the Article 3 of the special town meeting for the
Okay.
mixed unit.
So that takes care of going back with it.
Yep. And then for Article 1, they are recommending the necessary appropriation for the sergeant's contract, which will go in public session.
So they're passing
Of course, we're going to have to immediately turn around and go to start negotiations for fiscal '22, but that's a problem for tomorrow.
So can we vote on that then, Fred? 'Cause it-
Yeah, we should redo that.
Yeah.
So, this is Article 3 in the special warrant. And the motion I'd like to see if somebody would like to make would be to pass over Article 3, which said to transfer from Article 4, line 83, snow and ice, for the 2020 annual town meeting, the sum of $7,382, and from water department retained earnings, the sum of $17,381, for a total of $24,763.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
So, all those in favor of passing over Article 3? All those opposed? Be passing over Article 3 on the special warrant.
And then should we hit Article 1, too? Or did we didn't vote on that one?
Well, we did vote, we voted basically
Yeah, we
on a
did do that.
contingency
Yeah,
basis,
right.
so I don't think we need to revote, because
Right.
again, that was based on
Yeah.
the contingency of Article 3 passing
Yeah.
and the special thing.
Do you have any other questions?
Charlie, they just were checking on
Yes, I
the
do.
PA system, are you guys passing
Yeah,
over?
pass over, pass.
Yep, okay, thank
In
you.
the fraud risk
What else?
We're
assessment.
going to need 50,000 because
No idea.
I haven't had time to go
Sorry.
through and look at
I
the two
just saw it, too.
proposals. One was at 33.2, the other was at 50.
All right, so let's,
That's Article 46.
46?
all right, let's do
Is
that
that here?
really quick. 46 is the $50,000, okay. Somebody like to make a motion for the town to vote to transfer from undesignated fund balance the sum of $50,000 to enact the fraud risk assessment per the recommendation of the town's auditor.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of Article 46? All those opposed? That passes. I did have a question, Charlie, on Article 2, Amendment 9. You mentioned that we didn't talk about that one last week because you were waiting on the mixed unit. What are we doing with this one?
So 9 is, I would still do it. There's always a slight chance that for some reason if we end up in a situation that we have people who were in the union are not in the union anymore, that it would be helpful to have this position established with a particular grade and also establish stipends for building maintenance employees.
Do we have an estimate of what the impact on our current wages would be?
Well, it wouldn't do anything right now,
Okay,
because
so it wouldn't affect 2022.
not yet. Hypothetically, let's say for some reason there's no union at some point.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then the building committee would have to come back to town meeting to get the necessary appropriation for paying the salary for that position, along with any stipends for any of the employees. There's not money in the budget right now to do that.
Anybody have any other questions? All right, would somebody like to make a motion that the town vote to establish the position of building maintenance craftsperson as a grade A position and add stipends for the following licenses and certification for employees of the building maintenance department, which are as written?
Article 2 amendment.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of Article 2, Amendment 9, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Oh, wait.
Nope, that gets y'all get caught up.
I want to.
All right. So we'll go. As soon as she's ready, we'll vote
All
again.
right. Craftsman, is that what we're doing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the one,
create the
yeah.
position of craftsman.
Yep. Okay, well, we can vote again. All right, ready? All those in favor of Article 2, Amendment 9, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay.
Article 50 was the PA system.
That's a passover.
Do we have anything that we need to do on 30 or 42?
Can you tell me which?
30 was the general stabilization fund.
That's
We will wait until the
That's
end.
at the,
Yeah,
okay.
that's at the end of the meeting. If we have money still available, I'll
Which
And
will
42
depend
is
on-
the gas line.
and that's a passover.
That's Passover.
Yeah, I think both Scott and I, if we have a meeting in September, that might be something we bring to town meeting, but we don't have any estimates at all of anything like that, so passover,
How about 51?
which is
22,000 Halifax Housing Authority.
Passover.
Passover.
51.
52,
That's the pilot agreement.
payment in lieu of
And there's going to be a
taxes.
Passover.
That's Passover.
3 we did, that's the floodplain district, that's fine. 54 is the NIP ban, which we voted on. 55 is the selectmen change, remember, we did that one. 56 is the stabilization fund, we did that. Article 57, that's just changing the stormwater for the code, that's fine. 58,
Do we need to vote that motion
well, we'll get,
though? Okay.
yeah. Article 58 is, I talked to, this is basically looking for the Pine Street easements, and yeah, he had told me that he had gotten 3 out of 4. This was again 2 weeks ago, so I assume.
When I talked to Steve last week, he said he was not going to need any money.
Yeah.
So that's why the motion does not include any money, even though the original article mentions the possibility of it.
So we'll come back to that one. And vote on that again. Anything in the front, like, what we missed? Anything like Article 7, which is the firefighter collective, fire.
We're going to pass over.
8,
I think all of them, except the only ones we're not passing over the fire chief and the police chief.
okay.
The 7 is a passover,
8, 9,
8 is a
10,
passover,
And then 11 and 12 you voted already.
9 is a
11 we
passover,
voted, 12 we voted.
10 is a passover, 11 we voted on. 12 we voted on.
13's a Passover.
Is that one the chief?
That's the mixed unit.
Oh, yeah, 13's it.
Passover.
14 we voted on.
14 is
15.
the, yeah, we did that one.
16, parcels of land between Carver and South
We're
Street.
passing
Passing over
over.
that
Okay.
one. Seventeen, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. South Coast Boundaries Legal Services. Did we vote on that one?
That says no. Vote to raise and appropriate transfer $3,500 to support South Coastal County's legal
Right, in
services.
both of those cases, those were usually petition articles, but because of COVID, they weren't able to get the signatures. They did ask the board of selectmen to propose them, which the board has done. What we do is we fund a $3,500 contract to provide services. One is for the advocacy and one is for the law.
Yeah. Let's do a quick vote on this one then. Would somebody like to make a motion that the town, well, this is Article 28,
28.
sorry. Article 20, I'll get everybody up to date when they're ready. So the motion is, I'd like somebody to make is to, that the town vote to transfer from undesignated fund balance the sum of $3,500 to support South Coast County's Legal Services Incorporated, continual free legal services and civil matters to elders, low-income families, and their children.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
All those in favor of Article 28? All those opposed? Article 28 passes unanimously.
That looks like it.
All right, so Article, may I ask, Article 31 is the document management, and then Article 32 was the work order asset management. Are you going to pass over
Caesar's-
that second one? That's the one that was
We're passing over
recommended.
32, yes.
All right.
I also have an update for Article 31 for you guys.
Do you need me for anything else right now,
I
folks?
think we're good.
I'll be
Thank you,
around.
Kelly.
Thank you, Charlie.
All right, so I just went in to update.
If you want, so Caesar's gonna have something for you on one of those articles, if you wanna discuss that with him, and then also just before we adjourn, we wanna make sure that we get this reserve fund transfer signed off.
Yep.
So I don't know which order you wanna go.
Okay. Let's let Sandy finish up.
All right, so what I was saying is we have about 200,000 left in the free cash. That's what I would be recommending. I've just rounded, so I'd say
So
200,000, which leaves like 626. If something doesn't get voted for, I'll try to make the corrections during so that we have an accurate figure and of maximizing it. But that's what we're hoping,
Which article was that again?
the stabilization article.
30,
Right?
I don't
Gonna
think
say
so.
41.
that might be right.
Oh, it's probably Article, is it Article 29? Or 30? Maybe you are. Charlie puts them in a different order.
30.
I know, that's what they're
30
too.
30 is the stabilization.
All right, so it's Article 30.
So basically, that's not passed over, that's basically just asked to be,
We're going to ask, yeah, so
what that.
Dennis, if
If
that
this comes
article
up
comes
early,
up,
we're
we'll
supposed to
ask
be
you to
tabling it.
table it until the end so that we have an
So we know
accurate
the
figure.
balance.
Yeah,
Right.
because we can't vote on a number
Right.
without that.
Okay.
Okay, so, are you all set, Sandy?
Yeah, I believe I'm set.
Caesar, step right up.
Hello.
Hey.
All right. I'm just going to give out this general breakdown of the costs. We were able to look at a different product that does the same thing as the original software intended.
Caesar, if I- excuse me, if I close this down, will that screen stay? Will it just put it to sleep?
No.
The work digitalization of documents.
So essentially, in the breakdown,
You're welcome.
I've outlined what the capital investment was,
Yep.
what we're buying,
Yep.
which is we're gonna be paying for the wide format printer / scanner. That'll support us printing out those large format documents like building plans and maps as they get submitted once we get it fully implemented. And we're also paying for the professional services to have it implemented, as a system through RICO. The annual operating cost is going to be the Laserfiche licensing, maintenance, and support, which is an annual expense. That covers, as listed there, 100 users, 10 terabytes of data storage in the cloud, online forums, a public portal, technical support for what we needed, for what we need. There is no annual percentage increase, no increases as they say, hey, services are costing more, we have to charge you more. So, as of right now, fiscal 22, fiscal 23, fiscal 24, it's just $3,100. For the wide format and scanner, the maintenance for that is $720 a year, it's $60 a month. I did also outline what that covers in terms of square footage, because that's how they price their usage on. So if we go 3 months, either printing a few maps here and there, that's within that range, we don't pay the overage fees. The overage fees, I believe I can add up towards the end of the year. And I don't think it'll be that much that we have to necessarily, quote unquote, plan for it. They said the usage amounts that are within the contract itself should be plenty sufficient to handle what we need. Now, the total cost for this system, and that includes the wide format, the first year for the wide format maintenance and the licensing, as well as the implementation and the actual printer and scanner, that comes out to $22,005. The original amount that was requested in the article is $32,000. You guys did recommend that. I'm just asking that we keep that $32,000 amount as a buffer, because this is one of those projects, since I'm not full-time and I'm gonna be running around trying to get it implemented, that I would like to have a buffer in the event I need to order or have assistance with extra professional services that exceed the 6 8-hour days or the 8 6-hour days. Obviously that implementation does include my training, and while I would say that I am a quick learner and could probably do it in 2 days myself, I have to be considerate of my time and obviously making sure that the taxpayers are paying for something that actually gets implemented. So I'm asking to keep that buffer there. This is also going to help us purchase any additional software like PDF programs if necessary, if we feel as though the system can't either handle a particular workflow, or if we feel like it's getting a PDF software is going to make it easier to integrate or interact with the workflow and document management system down the line. So it gives us some flexible wiggle room for services to make sure it gets implemented the right way and not by bits and pieces or rushed, but also make sure we have wiggle room to add any additional services or software that weren't initially intended.
Okay, anybody have any questions for Susan?
Nope.
Yep, so this is all voted, so we are changing them out, so we're all good.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Good. Let's get that reserve fund transfer out of the way. Reserve fund
Would you like to
transfer.
pass that?
Good luck, everyone.
Knows what we're doing.
All right, that's Article
We need the
31.
reserve fund.
The reserve fund one.
Oh, I'm sorry, what did I just hand
You
you?
sent me the, you sent me Caesar's
Sorry,
document.
left hand, right hand. There you go, swap that one out. And-
Okay, so this is a request is hereby made for the following transfer from appropriations according to Chapter 40, Section 33B of the Massachusetts General Laws. So the request is to transfer in the amount of $10,000 from account dispatch services. The budget amount for this fiscal year was $163,000,
Thank you.
and the current balance on the account is only $13,000 left. So they have less expenses than expected, that's why the account has a balance. So they want to transfer that $10,000 over to town building expense, and the budget amount for this year was $35,360. The current balance in this account is $13,938, but they need for the funds for the plan for the expansion of the museum building for future needs planning. This has to do with the, what they want to do with the
I can shut it and watch.
senior center, correct? Yeah. So would somebody like to make a motion to approve this reserve fund transfer?
So moved.
Do I have a second? All those in favor?
Right.
All those opposed? Okay, so I'll just need you guys to pass this around and we'll sign it real quick. Is there any correspondence?
No, you ran through all the correspondence we had under budget
I
mostly.
think there's nobody left from the public to discuss. Calendar, we all know what our calendar is. I believe we are all set except for maybe going back to just quickly voting on the Passover things, but we can do that at the table if we run out of time.
And you do have Michael Bennett coming in on the next meeting for
Correct.
he said yes, he'd be able to make it.
All right, so is there anything else?
Just when you're moving Article 4 now, you're moving it with the corrections on the pink sheet and the pink sheet's the editorial one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you're gonna move it with these corrections and then the top correction on the green sheet. You're not going, if Article 1 passes,
No, she's
you're not
talking about
gonna
the
need that one at all.
Nobody has Article 4 because that's the
So that's
entire.
we're not gonna need
I
this
don't
one.
need it, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
that's right.
I don't actually need to do
We
too
just
much
need this
talking.
one, Tom.
Yes, I know.
Oh,
Only
right,
if
right, right.
Article
Oh, yes,
1
I'm sorry.
passes, which it most likely will.
So when
I
will the
didn't realize
finance
it had
committee
landed back
want
to me
set
yet.
so that I know I have to make the motion?
So you are Article 3,
Yep,
which is the elected officials.
yep.
Article 4, which is the budget.
Right.
Article 6,
Which I guess I don't have the motion.
which is
for.
the, that motion is there. That's the one we talked about.
Yep,
So you cross, you
Yep.
cross that one off. That's the one you're gonna need,
yep,
all right? And I think that is it.
okay. Stabilization Funds,
Charlie said the Board of Selectmen would do the wage and personnel ones.
okay.
The Stabilization Fund, yes, so that was Article, what is that?
30.
30,
Yep.
yep.
30, which will be at the very end.
Right.
So Article 3
3, 4, 6.
and number 4, which I don't have a motion for and for nobody has.
Nobody does.
You're gonna move it as printed in the warrant
Okay.
with the exception of,
Move
and then you
that
read the
printed
pink and possibly the top section of the pink.
warrant with the exception.
These editorial corrections.
Editorial corrections.
And then the top green one,
The
right?
top green one, if Article 1 on the special
Yep.
passes.
Okay, I'm good.
All right?
So anybody have anything else
In the
before
nick
we
of time.
adjourn? All right, so we need, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, guys, don't be afraid to, either go first to chime in.
Yes.
You guys can speak up too on your expertise, because a lot of you have,
Right, that can happen sometimes. Sometimes they ask questions as to like, why did the finance committee consider, a particular board or something like that. If you want to speak about that, especially like Joe, with your expertise in the construction area, you can sit there and say, I've looked at the quotes and based on my knowledge, it's like acceptable, that sort of stuff. So, yeah, if anybody wants to speak, just let me know and we'll handle the mic. So we just need to make I need somebody to make a motion to adjourn the finance committee for May 10th.
you may not want to
Second.
adjourn,
Oh.
you may want to just,
Good point.
Yeah.
just because if
Yeah.
you're making.
Continue at town meeting.
Because we have to do it on
Continue
floor.
with the- yeah.
So at the end of the night, remind me, we have to adjourn.
Well, we're infinitely in session.
Well, we're never leaving.